like to show you how to use GitHub as a remote Git repository to do version control, store and share your code with your team members. I would assume you have signed up an account on github.com. So here is my GitHub account with 119 repositories. There are many videos on GitHub with little terminology explained. I would like to just show you the Git terminology first before we can put our Python package onto this GitHub account. This is the Python package we created from the last video. Let's take a look at the terminology first. So in PyCharm, you have your local project. You want to make sure everything is consistent with the code you put onto the GitHub and you share among with your team members. So this is basically we call it as a remote Git repository, or oftentimes we call it as remote Git repo. So for PyCharm to manage those changes and keep tracking everything, there's also something called a local Git repository. PyCharm is keep tracking. So every change is making to the project, and you want to commit the changes to your local Git repo. Once you're satisfied with all those changes, commit those changes, then you can push those changes onto remote Git repo. So you can allow your team members to do exactly the same thing. Once the your code is available in GitHub, then you can pull all these changes back into your local project, so you can merge the difference between other people's code and resolve the conflict. So that's another video. We can do that later. So let's take a look how this thing put into action in PyCharm. So first thing you need to config the GitHub, and let's go to preferences, then go to version control, select on GitHub, then we're going to add our account up there. So once we log in and we say OK, so we can load in our project, and this is the Python package project. And before we really go through the version control, I want to quickly show you what's available in this project folder. So those are different files and folders available. So we understand that from our terminology, we have to create a local repo. So to do that, we can go VCS, then import into version control. So we want to create Git repo. So that's going to select this directory. We're going to say OK to open it. So now let's do a list all the file, and you can see a new file folder is created called .git. So if you get into this Git directory, so you can see there are different files being added. So those are basically the information for the local repo to keep track all the changes. So now you can also save in the project with all those files, and those things are now being tracked by the local repo. So that's why they're showing in red. So you can right click on the file, say git, I'm going to add this one. So once you add it, then let's change it from red to green. So that means the local repo are going to track those changes. So we can also add this whole directory by git add. So all these 3 files are changed. So we can also add this whole biology into our tracking by local repo. We don't want to track this, and neither we want to track that. So those 2 files we need to keep tracking from the local repo, so we can add them. And we can also add this. So once you add those into your local repo, so you can commit all those changes. So by right click, git, then you're going to commit this whole directory. So that's going to take a look at all the files, and we're going to call this one as initial commit. So that's going to be a file is going to be added, and that's your initial commit message you're going to be add for all those different A files. So once you add it, the local repo will keep tracking all those files. So you can see also those files change from green to black color. So everything looks pretty good. So if you are changing anything, so you can see basically that convert from the black color to light blue. So that's basically keep tracking everything. And if I delete this, that's going back to black color. So light blue is basically checking whether the file has been modified. So now what we can do is we can put this local repo, push that into the remote repository. So we can right click on this and we go to Git and we're going to go to repository, push that. But we have not set up link for remote. So the easy way to do that is go to select for the project folder, go to VCS, then we're going to import the version control, share the project onto GitHub. So now let's take a look at it. This is 119 repo. So we're going to share that. So as soon as you can see all these changes are pushing onto remote Git repo. So let's see, once that's in successfully, then we can refresh this web page. So that changed from 119 to 120. So you can also open this link from the PyCharm. And let's go to biology, go to animals, you see all the files are there. Say now someone want to make changes and upload this code, and say we can make change on the GitHub. So we want to say I'm going to add a monkey in here. So you would want to commit a change with a message. So I say add a monkey by Lee. So give some reason why you want to do that, and so that basically will be able to add monkey into mammals. So that's basically a message being added. So now you can also say this is a commit message. It's going to be added. So now what we can do is go back to our local project. So you may want to check to see whether there's any difference in there. So you want to go to Git repository. You're going to pull the changes back from the remote. So I want you to pay special attention to here. So let's pull this one back. So it's going to check with the GitHub with this remote repo. So we can pull the changes. So you can see immediately that say there's being updated with one commit. So that's basically is changed in here. So in the same time, local repo is being modified. So you're happy with that, then you'll want to say, well, maybe I want to add something else. I believe Will is also a type of a memo. So once you add that, you can say that's converted into light blue. So that means we need committed changes. We don't have to add it because it's already added by the local repo. So we can commit the changes. So the message I'm going to call as add will into memo. So once you have that, you can click on commit. So that's going to only commit in your local. So you can say the color change from light blue to black. So all the files are stored and changed in the local repo. So we have not uploaded the thing back into remote. So you will just right click and go to Git. Then you go to repository, you're going to push that. So that's going to check with your remote and push everything in there. Let's quickly say this is not changed yet. So, but once it's being pushed successfully, when you refresh, you can see where it's added, and also commit message is also added. So that's how you're going to keep changes, keep tracking the consistency between your remote repo on GitHub and your local project, and how you're going to make sure commit your change, add changes into your local repo. So I hope you enjoyed the video.